Let's talk about it with a former diplomat who says the deployment of the troops to L.A. isn't just a policy mistake, it's a national security blunder. That person is Joel Rubin. He's a former State Department official and national security expert. He's up late with me tonight here in studio, live on the Final Five. Welcome back. Good to see you, Joel.
Always great to be with you, Jim.
You took the Substack to talk about this, and you said when you saw the images of active duty troops in Los Angeles, it broke your heart. Why is that?
This is a disgraceful misuse of our troops. Jim, look, we have serious threats globally. The threats are not in Los Angeles, certainly not for the American military. We have a strong law enforcement presence across the country. Here in Montgomery County, there are 2,000 law enforcement officers. Do we want the military to come in and suddenly go raiding door to door, shutting down peaceful protests? No. We want our troops to be able to deal with the threats that we face from Iran, from China, from Russia. It's a misallocation of resources in the extreme.
And so you say that sending the troops deploying the troops sends the wrong message globally. But if you talk to people who support the move, they say this is about a show of strength. This is a show that we take domestic order seriously and won't tolerate chaos around here.
Well, this is why we have a federalized system where we have state and local police. Everybody around the world is watching American democracy right now. We do not have a king in this country. And around the world, they're watching our strength, not just in our military force, which of course is primary, but also our morals and our values. When the American democratic system collapses, as this president is trying to make it so, that weakens our standing around the world and our allies get nervous. So there's broad implications here for the American president to essentially declare war on the state of California for just this reason, for our global standing, and that is at peril right now.
When Gavin Newsom says this is against all of us, and those are his words, but is this something that you see? And you've worked in federal government before. Is there the potential for this happening in other cities? Could we see this happen in Washington, D.C. if he doesn't like what Muriel Bowser's doing?
I don't see why not. The president has put no limits, no constraints, no guardrails on this behavior. Clearly, the Speaker of the House thinks it's okay. We don't have a system now of checks and balances. The Congress is AWOL. Are we going to depend upon the Supreme Court to rein this president in? The Supreme Court gave this president essential immunity if he declared a national security rationale for taking illegal actions. So right now, this president has free reign. And unless governors and other elected officials and, of course, the people overall speak up, he will continue to advance this goal in the guise of immigration deportation, but really about consolidating power against our democratically elected officials.
In going to a federal judge, Governor Newsom said, we would like a temporary restraining order. The case was assigned to a judge who happened to be the brother of former Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer, who denied that earlier today. Is this, look, it seems as though the argument is the federal government is justified in using the tools that it has at its disposal to enforce the law here. So I would imagine you disagree with what Judge Breyer had to say about this today.
Yeah, look, this should not be a court call. This should ultimately be a political decision. The President of the United States should be talking to Governor Newsom first and say to him, what do you need? Do you need resources? These are my policies. It's not as if Governor Newsom is saying there can be no ICE operations there. But this is not what the president did. And so he's forcing me into the courts. But there is a process that he should be engaging in. He should go through the political process. We saw a fiasco in Congress today where the Secretary of Defense can't really explain how much money this is going to cost. Now he says they want to be there for 60 days. I thought this was an urgent crisis. Now they're deploying for 60 days. That's going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars. And so the political decisions need to be made in a way that is organized and respecting the rule of law. And right now, that's not happening.
I had a Republican former judge on the show last night talking about the immigration impact in Arizona, where he was coming from. I want to ask you this, then we got to go. You're a Democrat, okay? You see Gavin Newsom out there. You also have members of Congress. Chuck Schumer comes to mind, who like to write strongly worded letters and kind of leave it at that. Is this the leadership, or is this the right leadership against that effort right now coming from Newsom, or do Democrats need to do something different?
I think that right now Newsom is showing a strong face in saying the rule of law matters, but we do need to have an immigration policy that reflects what the American people are concerned about. There is no doubt that that we have too many undocumented people in the United States need to be dealt with appropriately and through the rule of law. The governor does speak that way, but it's getting crowded out by this bludgeoning from the president who doesn't want to take yes for an answer.
Do you think, as we go into this weekend, we talked about this parade, and the president said that about protests. Do we see something like that happen in D.C. this weekend?
Look,
I hope not, but I'm asking you.
I really hope not. You know, one of the problems with the protests in Los Angeles that anarchist types got in, people who were hooliganish and wanted to create a mess, and that's always the risk. The preponderance, the majority of those out there are peacefully protesting, and as Americans, that's our First Amendment right. Yeah. My concern is that people will take advantage of this to try to create chaos.
Joel, coming in tonight on the night of your daughter's 8th grade graduation.
It's a wonderful Silver Creek night.
Great to see you, Joel.
Thanks.
Thanks. We appreciate you.
Appreciate it.